everybody. Welcome to tonight's show here. I'm trying right now to bring on some more of my people onto the show to talk horror because, quite honestly, that's the most fun for me is getting to talk scary movies with all of my friends. And this has been like long overdue at this point here now, but we're finally making it happen. Today, joining me on the show is one of my very, very best friends, Mr. Benjamin Costigan. Ben, how you doing today, brother?
Great, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, long time coming.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like it's kind of funny because like quite honestly, like thinking about like my relationship with horror and all the great movies, like I remember getting to go see my childhood and going to the theaters, stuff like that. I got so many of those memories with you, man, because we were in like the theaters like endlessly all throughout high school, dude. I feel. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, man. We had to sneak into a few of them, if I recall correctly.
Dude, that is so insane to think about here. Like going back to that, because now we live in a world to where like you go to the theater and like it's reserved seating. You have to reserve your seat. Doesn't matter if you're doing it online, in person. You have to actually go and reserve your seat this time around. And you know, we came from the Wild West, where back in the day, you didn't reserve a seat. You know, if you showed up right at the time the movie was starting, you kind of take what you can get, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Man, like, how do you feel about that? Because again, we've seen the evolution of like movie theater seating here. Like, what has your preference been, honestly? Like, do you like our reserved seating now? Did you prefer it how it was back in the day for us?
No, I love reserve seating now because you can go in and pre-plan your time and get the best seats. You know, you're generally somewhere in the center, somewhere in the middle of the theater, so you get the best sound and everything. Whereas back in the day, man, you just got what you got. You know. So if you went to a premiere and there was a huge line, you knew that, you know, you weren't going to get the best seating because you're all the way in the back just waiting for everybody to pile in. So you just got what you got. So I do love it now. Definitely love the pre-plan.
I know that we did a few front row seatings. There had to be at least a few movies where we were just right in that front row looking up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know if I look badly upon it. Like, I'm with you. I am with you. Like, I'd rather have a seat that we get to pick out personally and get to actually like be in the right placement for everything. I don't know, man. There's something nostalgic about us getting to go see a movie and we're in the front row just looking up and like, man, what a time. What a time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know what? The front row really isn't that bad, but your neck hurts by the end of the movie. So that's really
real.
the only thing.
That's real. That's real. Okay. So snack combos now, because I know I feel like mine has changed like only slightly over like the last like 20-25 years at this point that you and I have been seeing movie theaters. What's your current snack combo when you're going?
Dude, you know, I always got to go with traditional nachos, man. I love nachos. Actually, you got me into nachos. I think when we first started seeing movies, you always got them, and I started getting them. And I'm like, man, you know, this is actually like the perfect movie going snack. I love that. Mm-hmm. Big, large drink or icy, that's always a plus. And of course, got to have my Sour Patch Kids and or Red Vines. So
there it is. There it is. You know what? The only thing that has changed, in my opinion, at movie theaters more than like reserved seating versus like just free for all are the nachos. Because now kids, and this is another big one here for you. These days, most of the time when you go to theaters there, you're either going to get the little like carton of like the cheese there for you, or it's just going to be just the chips and cheese, maybe jalapenos, and that's it at this point. But do you remember movie nachos like 20 years ago where it's like they got the olives and the pico and the onions and the sour cream and the guac, man? And you have to tell them to not put certain stuff on there. You remember nachos like that at the theater back in our day?
Dude, that was the Century. The Century Aurora had those amazing nachos, you know?
Yeah.
My mom called them the awesome nachos because it was just loaded with awesome stuff, man.
They gave you a meal for like the one nachos you got was a meal, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
and I remember you always got like a huge cup, like a water cup full of jalapenos, man. You always got those.
Yeah, bro, like, yeah, literally a cup full because they didn't regulate it back then. They didn't cost extra. You get it. Oh man, what a time, dude! What a time, man. Now, I'm bringing all of this up here because you know Ben and I, our thing was going and seeing movies together all the time back when we were younger. We still do it a lot these days now too. But Ben was my horror road dog. You know, he's the guy that like we talk everything horror. So if something new and spooky and scary was coming out, that was us because we were horror gamers, we were horror movie watchers. Everything there was embedded into our very systems. And we're talking a little bit Resident Evil tonight, which means a lot to us because me and Ben have been playing all of these games for so long, and we've seen a lot of these movies in theaters together too, man.
Oh, absolutely, man. Just a quick memory, the first Resident Evil when it came out, it was rated R, and we didn't want to sneak in, and we saw premiere night, and my dad took us. So my dad went with us that night to the Century, and that's when we went and saw it, man. And that was, man, what a night! Because I think you spent the night that night, and we were just up, like just talking about the movie, talking about possibilities for sequels and stuff, playing the game. Oh, dude, it was like one of my best memories in high school was just that night, dude. It was awesome.
Man, and y'all, this is going back, this is 24 years ago. Like literally a few weeks ago, it would have been 24 years ago because the original Resident Evil movie came out in March of 2002. And again, Ben and I were big into the Resident Evil franchise at that point. You know, him and I had linked up only, at this point, only been about 3 months actually, because I moved to Colorado in December of 2001. Ben and I met in Intercession, which that's a whole other thing there now, in January of 2002. So we're going strong at that point, and months into us becoming friends there, we get a Resident Evil movie. And I don't remember, because I'm going all over the place here. Had you read the Romero script before we saw Resident Evil, or did you read it after we saw it in theaters?
I think I read it after because I remember that you had mentioned it. I don't know if you mentioned it before or after, but you had said, "Dude, this was you were like really you were crazy about it because it had all of the elements of the game in there." And when I read it, I was like, "How did they not do this?" Like it was such a cool script, man. So cool.
It really is, and it's kind of crazy to think that like last year they put out that great documentary, George A. Romero's Resident Evil, that kind of like talks about the genesis of that script and his involvement in trying to make that film and everything. And I'm right there with you. Like, y'all, if you are a fan of the games and the game storyline and you've never read Romero's Resident Evil script, it is absolutely worth a read. Simply because, yes, it does change some of the elements from the game. Like, I think one of the biggest things is that Chris Redfield is no longer a member of STARS, I want to say.
Yeah,
in Romero's script, right? Yeah. But weirdly enough, there are elements of Paul Anderson's Resident Evil in there too, like the mercenary. I don't know if it was it had to be the STARS team who was with Jill and Wesker and everybody, but I'm pretty sure that Michelle Rodriguez's character Rain, who's in Anderson's version, it felt like that character was lifted from Romero's script because there's a character in that version that's entirely like Rain in the way that Michelle Rodriguez like portrays the character in that. But either way, read the script if you guys haven't had a chance to read that there. But Ben and I were so stoked for it. We go and see it. We are waiting because there wasn't that much being released. Like the internet now is very different than what it was back in 2002. And so you didn't get those full reports like we have now that are saying like this had nothing really to do with the Resident Evil lore. There's no established characters. There's no Chris. There's no Jill. There's no Barry. There's no Wesker. There's no Rebecca. None of that is going on here. You're only getting a couple of the creatures that are featured in the games as well too. We're talking a lower budget. And what do you remember about your feelings and thoughts coming out of the first Resident Evil? They're honest thoughts there. What do you remember?
Honest thoughts, man. I remember that I really enjoyed the film, even though I think we both kind of went in there realizing that it wasn't going to be like a full-on copy of the game. So, but when I walked out, man, I thought that movie was awesome, man. I still love that movie to this day. Probably more because of the great time that we had. But man, I don't remember walking out disappointed. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What about you?
I feel like my biggest disappointment, thinking back on it now, because I'm with you on it there. Like I look through it in a very positive light, and a lot of it has to do with the nostalgia of me and you getting to go to movies and just loving that time and that environment and just getting to do that shit all the time. But looking back on it, honestly, I feel like my only gripe really now coming out of that film is that I know I just wanted it in Raccoon City. Like, I think I can look at it now and say it's like, look, I was cool with none of the characters being there. I was cool with only having a few of like the creatures and the monsters that are featured in the game, but for some reason, I really missed seeing Raccoon City itself. There's something about a zombie outbreak in a zombie film being in a widely populated area that just it works like gangbusters for me, man. And I think outside of that, there's not a lot for me to complain about there. I know everybody's got their reservations about it, and yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff in Anderson's Resident Evil franchise, but quite honestly, looking back, I don't think the first film is one of the low notes there of his franchise go, honestly. I
totally agree, man. I think it's probably like a time constraint thing. You know, they had to keep it tight, and so they can only do, you know, the lab or the hive is what they called it. But dude, the intro to that movie was so great, man. When when it leaked out and everything went locked down, everyone's trying to get out, dude. What a great
the elevator and everything.
Dude.
Oh man.
Oh man.
So good.
Such
good.
I was in it. When that intro started, I was in it, dude. I was like, this is gonna be awesome.
Now, what's kind of crazy to think about as well too is that so we get through seven Resident Evil films, and I know you and I think we only saw like 2 or 3 of them there, because I think we saw the first one, we saw Apocalypse, we did not see the third one together, I believe. I think we did Afterlife, which is the one that brings Chris in. And then I know we did that sounds like we did. We didn't do Retribution because I don't remember seeing that in theaters. And I know we did the final chapter because we double featured that with Triple X, the return of Xander Cage. So I know we did that one there for sure. Which I enjoyed it. That was a good double feature, honestly. I had fun with that double feature, to be completely honest about that.
Oh, dude, what a great nostalgic double feature, because you know we went and saw the original Triple X together.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, dude. I remember I did not like the first Triple X, but but I had watched it later on with my parents or something. I said, what was I thinking? Like, this is an awesome movie. So
the rated version is a little bit better in my opinion. I don't know if I fuck with it too much, but the rated R version I think is a bit better now.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. That unrated cut. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh man. Now, and here's the thing. So we see Resident Evil March 2002. We fast forward almost 20 years. Almost 20. Crazy, man. That's so crazy time. But we go forward about 20 years to November 2021, and we get the release of another new try at starting a cinematic universe for Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. Now, no involvement at all from Paul W.S. Anderson. This is being written and directed by Johannes Roberts, who brought us films including 47 Meters Down, The Strangers Prey at Night, both films I really, really enjoy, and extremely recently, Primate as well, too, he brought to us here.
Oh, yeah.
And for those of y'all who haven't seen it, Welcome to Raccoon City was, it's so funny. I always almost call this movie Welcome to Umbrella City all the time. It's always in there. But if you haven't seen this one, Welcome to Raccoon City is far more on brand and far more continuity based compared to Paul W.S. Anderson's version at it. You got Chris and Claire Redfield in there. You got Jill Valentine. You got Barry. You got Wesker. You even got Leon Kennedy in there as well, too. But it is an interesting mix because you're trying to fit so much of that, and the movie basically tried to put in the first 2 games in that film. And in some aspects, I thought they did a good job at it. I very much enjoy the scene inside Spencer Mansion where Chris is separated from everybody else and his flashlight's going out, and that scene of him trying to shoot the zombies, then switches to the knife. I love that scene. I think that is phenomenal. But the problem is that I don't know if I feel the rest of the movie lives up to that. And I didn't hate the movie either, to be completely honest. I just don't know if there was a lot of highs in it compared to that one scene that I like. What did you take out of Welcome to Raccoon City?
You know, dude, my favorite part of that movie was the exploration, because they really got that down, because that's what the game is. It's about like these still environments where something crazy just happened and you have this team of people going in. So I felt like they really hit the mark there with that, because it was a lot of like what's going to happen, going around the corner and stuff. So I think they did perfect with that. They captured the game perfectly. As far as the characters, I thought the character was great. The acting was really good. It's not like the perfect Resident Evil film, but it hit something that the Paul Anderson one didn't, and I think that was the environment. Where as
Yeah.
Paul is more of like an action oriented sort of endeavor. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's very true, because if you go and watch a lot of Paul W.S. Anderson's filmography, that's really it. Is that a lot of his films are more about spectacle and about the action that's being portrayed in it than anything else. I mean, hell, another video game that he did, Mortal Kombat, and the Mortal Kombat film, the original one that he did there. Again, like a lot of fights is what you remember that one for, and it's kind of actually weird thinking back, because just being deep into Twitter these past couple of weeks here, like folks reminding us that like the Johnny Cage versus Scorpion fight and the Liu Kang versus Reptile fights, those were not originally in there like that too. That like they had to go and add like more to both of those, like to the Johnny Cage and Scorpion fight, and they had to add the Liu Kang versus Reptile one. And if you think about that movie, and it didn't have those in there, what the hell is the movie at that point there? Because there's not much going on. Like there's a few fights, but what is it? It's Sonya versus Kano. It's what the three Earth Warriors fighting just the random grunts and everything there. It's Goro flipping everybody and taking out all the people in like his sequence there.
Yeah, Sonya Sonya fought Kano, right? Or was that?
Yeah. And then what? Sub-Zero versus Liu Kang, and is that it? That's it.
I guess that would be about it. Yeah, because the rest of the movie is kind of like set up and some dialogue here and there. So
that is a very Liu Kang heavy film, and I guess what I will say is that if it turned out like that, that actually might mesh it better with Mortal Kombat Annihilation, because Mortal Kombat Annihilation very firmly pushes Liu Kang out front as being the guy, to where like the first movie, it felt like they were diversifying the time between the Earth Realm Warriors. So that's just interesting. I'm getting off topic here with all that.
No, it's awesome, man. That first Mortal Kombat movie, when I first saw it, like you did when I was a kid, I wasn't thinking in the mindset of, is this a good or a bad movie? I just wanted to see these characters on screen, and I got that. And so naturally, I loved that movie. I just loved it. It wasn't until years later where you go and read reviews online, or they say it's not that great, or whatever.
And folks got shit to say. Yeah, man. Which again, I'm not the guy to talk to about that shit, because you know me, man. I don't hate Annihilation. Like I actually have a lot of fun with Mortal Kombat Annihilation, so I'm not the guy to talk about when it comes to that.
My parents they took me to that movie, the Annihilation, and they had told me later on, they said, we almost walked out, but we didn't want to disappoint you.
I get it, but like something about that film, it's like if you thought Mortal Kombat was campy, the first film, it in no way reflects, because Annihilation is so much more. It's like the difference between Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, to where people accuse Batman Forever of being campy, and it can be, but have you seen Batman and Robin and seen the difference? And that's the difference between the two there now, to where Mortal Kombat, like, sure, it's campy, yeah, it's cheesy at times there, but have you seen Annihilation and the costumes and like everything go all out in Annihilation with it? And I don't know, something about it just clicks with me, honestly. It's like this is it, basically. Maybe it's because I was a big fan of that TV show, Mortal Kombat Conquest, and it feels like Annihilation and Conquest just like breathe together, honestly. I don't know.
When did you see that film? Did you rent that film, or did you see that in
I saw that in theaters. I did get to see. I saw both of those in theaters there, so that was cool to get that experience. I do remember though feeling like I was the smartest guy in the room watching Annihilation, because I was so into the game lore. And so Johnny Cage gets killed in the first 10 minutes of that film, which I think is such an awesome moment. Honestly, I'm Johnny Cage is my guy. That's the guy I play always. That's a mainline fighter in these games. Love his storylines. But I was smarter than the rest of the audience. I was like, man, just y'all wait. Johnny Cage is coming back at the end of this film, man, because that's what happens in the game. They bring him back, baby. And credits roll. Well, he's dead. No, he's dead. Yeah, He's not
And
back. He's
after
dead.
credit scenes were unheard of, so it's not like he was coming after the
Yep, that was it. Bro, I was done. I was so done. I was like, I look like an absolute fool right now. There, we're gonna keep that away here. But
Did you see it with friends, or did you just go by yourself? How did that work out?
I feel I had to have seen it with friends. I was in Australia at the time for both of those films there, so I feel it had to have been with like my friends out there. Honestly,
Yeah.
there's no question. Yeah,
Cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to back to Resident Evil here. We get 2 attempts of it now, and we are now set for our 3rd attempt at a Resident Evil film this year. Now, Zach Cregger, who a lot of you guys should know from Barbarian, in my opinion, but you likely know Zach Cregger from his hit last year, Weapons. Not a huge fan of it. I was fair. I gave it a 4 out of 5, even though it wasn't for me. I still gave it a strong rating. Ben, what did you think of Weapons? Did you see Weapons?
I did see Weapons. I was a little disappointed by it because I didn't understand the motivations of the old lady and how she said she needed the parents. I didn't quite understand that, and I don't think the movie ever really explained it. So I was kind of in the dark from that because I was just like, I don't get it. Well, why is all of this happening? Why is she doing this? So yeah, I thought it was maybe like something like she was trying to be young again, and she needed fresh bodies. I don't know, but it didn't land for me either. So yeah.
Usually I'm good at recalling a lot of stuff, but I really didn't like that movie. So like the problem is I have not tried, like I've rewatched it a couple of times. I'd have to watch it again to see if I could remember what that exact motivation was, but it makes me even less excited that they're doing a prequel that's centered completely around Aunt Gladys now, just because if you did like Weapons, I feel that takes away from her mystique at that point, and she only works in that specific situation. I'm not saying Zach Cregger couldn't write a good script that like puts her in another good one, but it just feels like leave it being unique. And I'm a prequel and a sequel guy. I love franchises, but some of these ones you don't need to do that. But I digress.
Yeah.
I digress. So Resident Evil is supposed to be coming out later this year. And there's been reports from test screening. Cregger has talked about it. There's been a trailer released as well too. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what's been said about the film so far here, and then I want to kind of get your thoughts here on this. All right. Sure. So, and this is reading from Dread Central, and they said, let's see, it's a nonstop horror thrill ride in the vein of Fury Road that's all gas, no brakes, and said to be almost entirely built around tension. The story follows Brian, played by Austin Abrams, who was in Weapons. He was the druggie in Weapons. A package delivery driver tasked with transporting a mysterious briefcase to Raccoon City Hospital during a deadly virus outbreak. Wonder what that virus could be. Could it start with a T, maybe, by chance? There's this possibility. Yeah. And let's see. So then they did set up con. They showed him a first look at the film. And here's the description of the footage. Resident Evil sees a man trapped in an abandoned city filled with zombies, Raccoon City. One scene sees the protagonist running through a street as zombies throw themselves off the roof. The Resident Evil trailer finds Austin Abrams entering an abandoned home to make a call, but the phone is dead. He then realizes that wherever he is, shit is fucked up and he's got to run for his life. The trailer plays with the off-hook tone sound. This fall comes a new era of evil. Another description says, a guy's on the phone trying to call his girlfriend, urgently apologizing for getting disconnected earlier. I'm in like a serious fucked up situation right now. He thinks they may not get to talk to each other again. Monsters and scares start flashing across the screen, slowly at first, and then more quickly as a dial tone makes it feel even more urgent. A big blob of a pale monster is unveiled through light, limbs crawl out of a door frame, and the scares and terror culminate with him running through a city street and bodies leaping off of a building to erupt like bloody bombs landing on cars around him. Looks freaky, looks good, looks in line with Cregger's great previous work. So hearing things like that, and again, the official synopsis says, Resident Evil follows Brian, a medical courier who unwittingly finds himself in an action-packed, non-stop race for survival as one fateful, horrifying night collapses in the chaos around him. Take all of that in, Ben. Think about being a Resident Evil guy and give me some honest opinions here about what you're taking from these CinemaCon descriptions here. What do you got?
Yeah, it sounds to me like he's gonna have to try to get to this hospital or wherever the case he's going to with this package, and so he has to fight his way through the city. So that kind of gives me some Resident Evil 3 Nemesis vibes, you know, where Jill was trying to get her way through the city. So
Okay.
that's my first initial thought. Um, you know, it sounds like it'll be action packed, sure. Probably
Mhm.
not scary, you know,
Mhm.
but that's okay. Probably more in the veins of an action thriller movie sort of thing. But
Sure.
it sounds cool for sure, man. You know, I, it doesn't sound like I'd be disappointed. I definitely am looking forward to seeing it for sure. What about you?
And you know, it's interesting you say like it sounds like it's going to be more action packed than like scary because let's kind of think about again Cregger's two previous films here, Weapons and Barbarian, to where I don't feel that Weapons had scares really in there that like you had to really like be nervous or worry about in that, and even in Barbarian, I think Barbarian's the better film of the two to be quite honest. But there's some shock value in Barbarian for sure, but at the same time again, I'm with you. I don't know if that's a film that I really think of is scary. And not that
Oh,
we're well past the whole idea that like a horror film needs to be scary. I know that sounds stupid to say, but we don't live in that world to where that's an expectation to where it's got to scare me every time. There's got to be good scares and everything. That's not really something I'm going to rate this thing off of. And this
yeah.
would fall more in line with what Cregger has done previously. Honestly, for me, I think what it comes down to is, again, the debate that's a little bit more important than the idea of it being scary. And that is, what do you want from a video game movie adaptation? Do you want to see a direct one-to-one translation of what you've already played through in the games that have expanded on it so much? Or do you want it to like chart into some new territory? And here at Resident Evil, we've kind of had the best of both worlds because Anderson's films very much charted new territory. It really didn't follow much of the game. We're talking 75% original, 25% following what's in there. You got all the viruses, you have some of these characters popping up, some of these situations popping up as well too, but it's all being redone to be centered around a new character, Alice. You get Welcome to Raccoon City, to where that is more in line with the games, but again, we're taking creative liberties there with it, so it's not exactly a one-to-one translation, and it ends up feeling, to be quite honest, probably just as good as Paul W.S. Anderson stuff there. It's no better, it's no worse than that. So I think of when we were kids and very much wanting these things to follow the games and remembering Romero's script, like we mentioned earlier, and how much I really, really wanted to see that script come alive on screen here. But at 38 years old, I don't know if that's something that I'm still so much worried about, to be quite honest. My bigger worry from all of this is just the fact that I was not impressed by Weapons. That's my bigger worry coming out of this film over anything else, because the problem is that Barbarian, I think, was a much better film, but that's such a small scale film. And Resident Evil has never felt small scale to me. That doesn't feel like something that's on that you do as a smaller film. We're going throughout Raccoon City. There's gonna be zombies. I imagine we're gonna get a number of the monsters featured. Maybe we'll see a licker. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll see a tyrant, you know, crows, the Cerebuses. Like, there's a lot of options there for what you can put in, but that doesn't feel small scale to me at all. And you're not even technically doing a haunted house movie or anything like that, because he's working his way through the city. So my bigger concern, I think, is the scale of the film itself there. I can deal with there not being any characters, because that's the apparent confirmation, is that we're not going to be featuring any characters that are in the game. We're not following anybody's narrative that's in there. And I still don't know if I fully believe that. I think that might be slight bullshit. I don't think we're going to get a cameo or something, but I would actually be shocked if there's not some direct references to some of the characters that are in this here. But yeah, that's my honest impression, is that I'm a little bit more worried about the scale of the film than I am about it following the game necessarily, or being scary or anything along those lines, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's very interesting that you say that. You know, man, I don't know why they don't ever figure out a way to translate the game. I think it would be kind of a cool thing, but then again, you think about it, it's like you can't have a 2-hour movie of just someone just collecting stuff around. You know?
That won't work there, right? Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I think I'd like to see the attempt at a certain point, and y'all are gonna roast me here because obviously, like, I'm not thinking directly here right now, but I'd love to know what is the most one-to-one video game movie adaptation that we have, because I can't think of what that would be off the top of my head. Like, because it's not even like the Super Mario Brothers movie. I don't even think obviously that is gonna be a one-to-one. I think there's probably something a little bit closer than that. Like, but I don't know what it is, and I'd love to be reminded of what the closest one-to-one adaptation is, so I can go back and see, do I like this more than when somebody does something original? Because I really need to start comparing it, but I feel like that's what Hollywood has just been doing their original stories and making it close, but that's as close as we can do it there, honestly. I don't know what my preference is, but
Yeah,
as
dude,
a fan of these... Go ahead.
Yeah, just thinking about all the video game movies and adaptations that have come out. I don't think there's ever been a one-to-one, but like Mortal Kombat, I would say maybe Mortal Kombat is kind of close, but they weren't really going off a lot of story to begin with. They had a couple of characters.
Yeah, not at the time, at least. Yeah, not at that time. Now there's a whole lore, but at the time it wasn't bare bones, but it's a lot more now for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk a little bit about the games, because we're also at a very interesting spot here with the Resident Evil video game franchise, to where, again, you and I grew up on it, and the fact that it came from like this mainline series to where we went from literally PlayStation 1 up until current generation consoles at this point now. And now we're very much living in a world to where we're getting mostly remakes compared to new stuff. And yeah, we are. Like, we've gotten, like, we're still working on mainline titles. We just got Resident Evil 9 Requiem. We've been doing this every few years. Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil Biohazard. Great games. Have not played Requiem yet. What's always been some of your favorite experiences when it comes to the Resident Evil games, though? What do you look back on fondly from that?
Yeah, the first game that I really fell in love with, still my favorite game, is Resident Evil 2. That was the one that the one I dipped my toes in originally, because it came out on the Nintendo 64, and my dad was playing it, and he was really good at it. He actually got through like the scenario A and was starting scenario B, so he was really good. But I didn't really play it then. When I started to really play it was when I got my Sega Dreamcast, and I went into Game Force one day, and Resident Evil 2 and 3 were right there, and so I picked them up, and man, that was like 20 plus years ago now too. That was just amazing to get those, and they looked so good on the Dreamcast, compared to the PlayStation. But my favorite, I loved the GameCube remake of Resident Evil. I played that one on that. I played it on the 360. I just recently played a run through of Chris's story on that one. That one will always be my favorite because of the Crimson Heads. I remember there was one time where I was playing, and it was on the GameCube, and I killed a zombie in that main hall where where you go to the yawn. Yep. And he was laying there, and he was laying there, and then one time I went through the hall and he wasn't there anymore, and I was like, oh, maybe the system finally got rid of him. So I'm going up, and scared the hell out of me, dude. And I threw my controller in the air, and they were wired controllers, so it like went up and it like snapped back down, dude. It was so funny. It was truly the greatest jump scare of my life, man.
Yeah.
so fun, man.
What do you feel about the modern experience of Resident Evil games compared to like the old school one? Because now we're very much entrenched in, at least for the new games, being very much first person, and it does seem a little bit more like not our current ones there, but there was a period to where it was getting a little bit more action heavy, like Resident Evils 4, 5, and 6. So compared to like our generation up to, let's say, Resident Evil 0, and then everything that's after that, where's your preference kind of land at?
They really hit the sweet spot with Resident Evil 4. That game was atmospheric, it was scary, it had a lot of good action in it. It became more action oriented towards the end, but that first initial run through was definitely terrifying, and it was more. It required a little bit more of a like you had to be strategic, because there were set pieces in there where you were just being attacked at all angles of the villagers. So I thought that was really amazing. So my sweet spot's always been Resident Evil 4. Definitely did the remake of Resident Evil 4 was awesome too. Have you got a chance to play that yet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it not only did they hit that right on the mark, dude. They got everything in that game. The graphics were beautiful, man. So scary, very atmospheric.
Hmm.
So I can't. I just always loved Resident Evil 4, and I was like, they should just keep trying to make this game, and they did with Resident Evil 5.
Oh,
Resident Evil 5,
it's a funny sentence that they should just keep making that game, because they did keep making that
They
game
did.
for 20 years. Like, good.
and guess what? I
Lord.
kept buying it.
Like, I feel like that is the biggest money scam that Capcom has ran. They figured something out that nobody else has figured out, because they keep getting people to buy that goddamn game, man. GameCube, PlayStation 2, iPhone version, Wii version, okay, 360, PS3, Xbox One, Xbox One X, PS4, PS5, on the Oculus. There's the remake now on that. This game has been released everywhere.
Yeah, dude.
At this point. If you have not played Resident Evil 4 in 2026, you are you don't do electronics at that point. Basically, it's as simple as that. There, you have to be you have to be the Amish at that point to not have played Resident Evil 4 in 2026. That's ridiculous. I myself, I think I own 6 copies of this damn game now too. Come on.
Yeah, dude. I just keep buying it, and guess what, man? I keep playing it, dude. I play it, and every time I start, I'm just like, all right, here we go again.
Every time. And at least with this remake, I diversified it a bit, because I was doing all VR. And I do here's the thing: whether you're a VR person or not, y'all, Resident Evil Village, or Biohazard, Village, and the remake of 4, those are the best VR experiences that you can absolutely have. I highly recommend it. If you have a PlayStation 2 VR, play those games there with it. They are so much scarier using that VR there for it, man. Oh man.
So let me ask, what did you think when they went from Resident Evil 6 to Biohazard? What did you think of them? So Resident Evil 6 was a little too big for its britches, because it wasn't that great of a game. But then they kind of brought it all back down to the survival horror. What was your thoughts behind that?
It's hard, because I am firmly at the point where I can say 6 was bad, and I was not like that for the longest time. I was just a fan of everything at that point. But I will say, I think it's the single player. Playing Resident Evil 6 single player is terrible, because the game is very clearly meant to be a co-op game. That is entirely how they designed it, for better or for worse, honestly. But going back to it, they made the right move, because 4, 5, and 6 were action experiences. That's just, there's no other way to look at it, is that those games were absolutely action games, and they work. They do work for sure, but Resident Evil needed to get back to being scary. And I remember the tech demo for Resident Evil Biohazard coming out, and it's that flashback tape to where it's Ethan's wife, and she there's the guy that's tied to the chair, and she's already possessed, and she keeps coming into screen and everything. And I remember that was the VR tech demo for that, and I remember being terrified, absolutely being terrified from it, and then playing the game, and it's even worse at that point there. I think Biohazard is a phenomenal game, honestly. It is. It adds the creepiness of Resident Evil that I want it to be. We still get Chris Redfield in it, so we still got a good link to the Resident Evil stuff and everything there. But it tells an original story that's not weighed down by having to connect all these other things to it. It's atmospheric. The Baker family they are so terrifying for sure.
Yeah, dude.
It could be frustrating in certain parts for sure, but overall, tremendous experience, and definitely the way that I felt it needed to go. The one thing I've been saying for years, for decades at this point, and I think you'll know where I'm going with this, is that I want them to bring back Outbreak. Outbreak was that is one of the quintessential Resident Evil experiences. Like, I think there are certain games in the franchise to where you mark where they did something big. Resident Evil 2 is definitely one of those moments there for it. Resident Evil 4, that is another big moment for it. 5's another big moment for it. I think Village is another breakout moment for it, and there's like a couple of other ones out there, but I think Outbreak gets glossed over a lot because it got caught in that time between what was old and what was new, because it came out, I think it was right before Resident Evil 4 came out, I wanted to say. And the problem is it got swallowed up by that. Like, Resident Evil 4 came out and you don't care about that anymore, but I was playing Outbreak in Resident Evil 4's heyday on the PlayStation 2 and GameCube at that time there, and I still believe that's the best online experience for Resident Evil that there is. Like, if you're somebody who played Resident Evil 5 and you're like, that's not Resident Evil. You play Resident Evil 6 and say, that's not Resident Evil. Outbreak was Resident Evil. It was you playing those first 3 games with 3 other people. That is what Outbreak was. And to this day, that's still what I want them to bring back. I want to a re-release of that game is what I want from this franchise, honestly.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I remember I bought that game, and then we actually played it. I spent the night at your place, and we were playing that all night. I know. I think I conked out like pretty quickly, but I remember I woke up at like early morning, and you were still playing, dude. I was like, dang. Yeah,
man.
Dude. That was a super fun game too, man. They did a good job with it. The only thing I don't like about that game is that the other characters, if they hit you, like you would take damage.
Yeah, so friendly fire was a thing.
Yeah, people would be jerks and like beat you up. And there was also, I was playing a run through of it, and there was like a green stick figure guy. So there was like some sort of character, and I was like, that's just not even cool. That's just dumb.
Yep, not interesting. I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that.
So it kind of takes you out of the experience a little bit because you got this weird cartoony figure running with you. So man, that's a really fun game, dude. That's really fun, and it was nerve wracking because there's like sections where just tons of zombies are coming at you, dude, and you got to figure out, okay, you got to juke them this way so you can run around them. And, it usually never works. Sometimes one of them will get you.
Very limited ammo in that game for sure too, and that's saying something for a Resident Evil game. Very limited.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely, man.
All right, Ben, it's been a blast getting to talk some Resident Evil here with you today. To finish things off here, I want to know, what are you watching right now, horror movie wise? So what's been on your watch list recently that you've checked out that's been new or old or whatever? What are you watching right now?
Old. I've actually been watching a lot of the anthology series, Creepshow 1 and 2, of course, Tales from the Hood, and I just watched last weekend Cat's Eye, which is the Stephen King one.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. Yeah. That's the one with the Smokers Inc. story, right?
Yes, that's the one.
Great story. Great story, man. Yeah, great story, that one.
So a lot of anthology stuff. I definitely went back and I watched a couple of the Tales from Bordello of Blood. I had not seen Bordello of Blood in such a long time, dude. So I went back and watched it, and I really loved it.
Bordello of Blood celebrates its 30th anniversary in August.
Wow.
30 years.
That sounds about right, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. That's ridiculous. Wow. Time has gone by, my friend.
Yeah. Corey Feldman, man, he's pretty cool in that movie. He did a really good job with that character.
He is. It's interesting because like a lot of folks harp on Bordello of Blood, and I think a lot of it, quite honestly, it really feels like it's because it's being compared to Demon Knight, which, me, Demon Knight's my favorite film. That's all-time favorite film there. And I do feel that that's a silly comparison to honestly make, because you watch an anthology horror is proof of that. Like, the entire purpose is we get a new story, different feeling, different atmosphere every single time. And Bordello of Blood is campy as hell. It is campy as all hell. But at the same time, though, it's also really gross. It can be really brutal in certain places. Like, I always think when she snaps Chris Sarandon's wrist. Oh, that's the one. Oh, I look away because in my old age now, gore is getting to me. That's the scene where I have to look away every time with that there. But it's like I have so much fun with that, and it's so atmospheric. And like Corey Feldman, bringing up Corey Feldman in that, I think that's one of his best roles that he's honestly done.
Agreed.
He
Agreed.
fits so well in this role here. And he's one of the few actors who got to not only do an episode of the show and got to do the movie, like one of the movies as well too, which is so cool because there's such a small amount of people who got the ability to do that. And I think that's really cool that he got the chance to do the show and the film, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely, man. God, I love, just real quick, Tales from the Crypt. That's a perfect, I love that show.
Yeah.
But was it the later seasons where it kind of started to like, did it start to kind of fumble some stuff later on in the later seasons, or was it always kind of?
I mean, to me, it was always on point. The big change that happened was that in season 7, the last season, all the production moved overseas, and so every episode was a UK set tale. Like everybody in the episodes were all British, basically, and so there's a very decidedly different feel for the show itself. And then the final episode of the show is a completely animated episode. It's the Three Little Pigs episode there. Yeah, so it changes, like it for sure changes the feeling of the show itself, but I don't know, like season 7 is not my favorite. It usually ranks kind of towards the bottom, even though there's a lot of really good stories in it, but especially if you watch the show chronologically, which doesn't make sense because it's an anthology horror, but if you do feel that tone shift. Like it's actually much better. If you were to put all these episodes into a shuffle and watch them that way, that's probably the way that you should enjoy Tales from the Crypt, just because watching it from season 1 to season 7, there are a lot of highs and lows in that series.
Sure.
I think it's all great, but there are a lot of highs and lows in there, and I think the show really works better if you just toss them in the blender and ask Google, hey, what episode should I watch today? I think that's really the way to do it, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. My favorite episode is the one with the soap where lady kills her husband and she makes the soap. That's such a great one.
Which is I always screw the name up, and it might not be the one. I think is it 99 and like 3/8% horror or some shit like
something
that?
like that. I remember that.
Yeah. We're gonna look it up here now because like I pride myself on shit like that, especially when it comes to Tales from the Crypt. And I know that is the title of an episode, but I don't know if that's the specific one, because I do remember the one that you're talking about here for sure now too. And it's funny because I always get that one confused with or at least the ending of it with remember the one that has like Timothy Daltrey or Roger Daltrey in it, and like it's him, Steve Buscemi, and like he wants Steve Buscemi's wife, and so he ultimately gives Steve Buscemi some kind of flesh-eating disease, and then he hooks up with his wife, and then at the end you find out that like she has the disease too, basically, and like they all end up dying ultimately, but like the ending of it is like her in the shower and like wiping off, and like all this skin and stuff is kind of
dude.
Yeah, man. All right, here we go. Let's see. Yes, I was right. It's 99 and 44 100% pure horror. I was right. I didn't get the numbers right, but I was like, wait a minute, I'm gonna remember what it is. I was on point with it there. Hell yeah, that's the way. John Kassir has recorded new stuff for these promos for Shudder as well too. To me, that indicates that legal rights have been worked out, at least somewhat. Get those viewing numbers up, y'all, because you have no idea whether or not that means we could be getting new Tales from the Crypt in 2027 or maybe a little bit further down the line. Go and watch that show. I know we're upset about The Last Drive-In. I know we are upset about that, but Joe Bob ain't going nowhere. He's got more specials, and he's going to end up somewhere else here. You can count on that. But Tales from the Crypt, y'all, we got to get this shit going, y'all. Let's get that happening. Yes.
Oh, man. I'm excited, dude. I cannot wait.
Yeah. Ben, thank you so much for joining me today, brother. It was so fun to just shoot this shit about some Resident Evil here. And obviously, like we've done before, we're going to go check this one out together this fall when it comes out, because that's what we do. Ben and Theron, Resident Evil. It's a match made in heaven, honestly. It's going down, Ben. So thank you again for joining on the show today, man.